Hello, everybody, and welcome to Braves Breakdown. My name is Justin Ayers, and I'm the Communications Coordinator here at North Adams Community Schools. Before we get started, make sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our school YouTube page. Today, I am joined by Will Baker, who is a senior member of our boys basketball team. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So why don't you just go ahead and tell me how you got into playing basketball?
Yeah, so I've been playing basketball ever since I can remember, really. I remember I started third grade AAU. I'd play for Bellmont, and then that went into fifth grade. I started playing for St. Joe, and then after that I kind of just fell in love with it and kept playing up until senior year.
How's the season gone so far?
It was a little rough at first. We kind of knew with losing so many seniors last year that at the start of the season, it might take a little bit for us to kind of gel together as a new team. But I think lately in these last, 5 or 6 games, we've played a lot better as a unit, and I'm excited going into sectionals next week.
What do you think the difference has been over the last few games?
I really think everyone has kind of figured out their role almost. We're all bought in, obviously, but I think a big thing has been just each of us playing our individual part and us playing good team basketball.
You mentioned that you had a number of people graduate from last year. What has been one of the biggest differences from this team compared to last year without them?
Yeah, I think experience-wise, it's been a huge thing because really Gavin Krall was about the only guy who came back with significant varsity experience last year. Now me and Dan Vogel got a little experience last year, but I think, just kind of figuring out how to play at the varsity level, that's kind of been the biggest difference from last year's team to this year's team.
How do you think you guys have adapted to that?
I think we've done a really good job. I think it's shown in these last 5 or 6 games. And I also think Coach Selkin has done a really good job of kind of being patient with us, in practice, knowing specific things we need to work on. And I think it's started to translate over to games.
What's it been like to be somebody who didn't play as much last year to now being one of this senior team captains or team leaders?
Yeah, it's definitely been a huge learning curve for me. I think one big thing has been trying to be more vocal this year because I think that's a huge thing that our team needs. And losing those, quote-unquote senior leaders last year, it's kind of, I've kind of had to step up into that role more. And I think that's just a big thing.
So you mentioned Gavin and Daniel. What do they bring to the table as far as leadership? Yeah,
so Gavin is great at, I would say he's more of a forceful leader. Gavin will really get on us when we're down and he's more of a motivation. He leads by motivation. And I think me and Daniel are more trying to bring positivity to the team. And I think we kind of complement each other well in that area.
So who are some of the younger guys on your team that people should be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, so Dan Selking, for sure, Cameron Summers. Those are 2 young guys who have really developed throughout this season and have a lot of talent and can be really good in these upcoming years.
What do you enjoy most about the sport?
I think I enjoy going out there. I enjoy the speed of the game. I think basketball is interesting because it's so fast-paced that, you make a mistake on one end of the court. Well, you got to go back and you got to forget about that and go play defense on the other end. So it's really it's a ton of short-term memory. There's nothing to dwell on. And, you can't let one bad shot or one bad possession influence the rest of the game because there's so much that goes on in the game, and you can't just focus in on one little spot or one little error, one little mess up. So I think that's a big part of the game that I enjoy.
What's your favorite part about your team?
Yeah, I think this year, we're such a tight-knit group, and I think a big thing for us has been just random team bonding stuff. we'll just have a little spontaneous, like, hey, we should go to Fort Wayne and go get, Raising Cane's, or go to Wingstop, Crumble Cookie. Like, it sounds silly, but, it builds that team bond. And, even like Coach Selking is on it, like, we'll go to Wingstop or Crumble, and we'll come back to Decatur, and, we'll just go over to his house for a couple hours and, spend time chatting up in his living room. And I think that's just a huge thing that, I love about this team.
Specifically in a sport like basketball, where you have freshman, JV, and varsity full teams, how do you go about reaching out to some of the kids who aren't on the varsity squad?
Yeah, so I think that's a huge part of kind of building a program, is to get like those guys interested and involved. Now, obviously, we play with JV in practice all the time, so, I get to interact with those guys and whatnot. But even like with the freshman team, if I see some of those guys in the hallway, like, I'll say what's up, or like say hi to them, and just kind of build that connection with them.
How has Coach Selking helped contribute to your team chemistry?
Like I said earlier, just his patience, and I think he connects with us really well. I think we trust Coach Selking a lot with just the stuff we do in practice. He lays out a great practice plan for us, and he really works on the stuff that, we need to work on. He breaks down our film, and, he uses that to kind of make us more comfortable, so we're ready for, every opponent in game, and it really builds our confidence.
What is one way that Coach Selking has made you a better basketball player on the court?
He was always there for me if I would ever reach out to him and, ask him to get in the gym, to get shots up. That going back to last year, I remember in the fall, I would always ask him after school if we could go shoot at the middle school. And, he was always there. He would always, come up with drills to kind of just help me become a better player.
How's the sport helped you grow as a person?
Yeah, I think a big part of it has been struggling through adversity, because like I said earlier at the beginning of the season, it was a little tough. None of us like losing. It's not something that's fun, but just coming into practice every single day and keeping the mindset that it will get better, we will get results. I think that's a huge thing that you can kind of translate to real life, because life's not always fair, life's not always fun, but you have to work through that kind of stuff. And I think just having this background in basketball where not everything goes your way, it's something big that I can translate to real life.
So kind of piggybacking off that, if you had to imagine little third grade Will Baker, who's on the Bellmont AAU team, what would he be most proud of you right now?
I would say my confidence, for sure. I think that back when I was in third all the way through middle school, I sometimes maybe lacked that confidence when I stepped out on the court. But I think this year I've really, putting in work outside of practice, outside of, the season, it helps build that confidence. And I think this year I've felt that confidence more than ever, stepping out onto the court.
So how do you think your team and your coach have helped build into your increase in confidence?
Yeah, they've always picked me up. They've always, let me know that, even if I make a mistake, it's not a big deal, just keep working at it, keep working at it, keep working at it. And that's just something that's really helped me.
So how do you guys feel going into sectionals?
I feel really well. I think we're playing our best basketball right now, knock on wood. But I think, Marion's a tough team, but I also feel like with our fundamentals and the way we've been playing, I think we have a good shot at making a little sectional run here.
I know I've heard a number of people regard you guys as underdogs, but also as the dark horse of the sectional round. When you hear those, what goes through your head?
Yeah, I love the spot we're in, because, no one's going to take us serious. No one's going to think the Bellmont Braves are going to come out there and go win a sectional title. And I think, that's when teams thrive, is when everyone's doubting them. And I think, as us players, we don't buy into our record. We don't buy into kind of the negative stuff that people say outside of our team. And I think with that positive mindset, I think we could really go out there and surprise some people.
So what would you say to someone who's considering joining the boys basketball team?
I would say definitely go for it. I think, it's a great experience. It's a great way to create that bond with guys that you'll have for the rest of your life.
And what would you say to maybe somebody who's a little more intimidated about joining a basketball team when they haven't played previously in high school?
I would say still go out and try it, because you never know if you love it. And if you do end up loving it, like, you start putting in more time into the off season, you start staying after practice, and you'll eventually get there if you really are committed and love the sport.
Well, thank you very much. It was great to hear what you had to say about the boys basketball team.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, that is all for this episode of the Braves Breakdown. Be sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to the North Adams Community Schools YouTube page. We will see you next time when we speak with a member of the boys swim team. Have a good one, Bellmont.